announced yesterday. Quite an iconic figure, I dare say. His name, why he was here with us is Jorge Bergoglio, born in Buenos Aires, Argentina. He has been termed a Latin American. That's the way he has been called, and he died, early yesterday. The announcement was made at the Vatican. Take a look.
Carissimi fratelli e sorelle, con profondo dolore devo annunciare la morte del nostro Santo Padre Francesco. Alle ore 7:35 di questa mattina, il Vescovo di Roma Francesco è tornato alla casa del Padre. La sua vita tutta intera è stata dedicata al servizio del Signore e della sua Chiesa. Ci ha insegnato a vivere i valori del Vangelo con fedeltà, coraggio e amore universale, in modo particolare a favore dei più poveri ed emarginati. Con immensa gratitudine per il suo esempio di vero discepolo del Signore Gesù, raccomandiamo l'anima del Papa Francesco all'infinito amore misericordioso di Dio uno e trino. Grazie.
All right, that was the announcement from the Vatican yesterday of the passing of Jorge Mario Bergoglio, born on December 17th of December 1936 and died on the 1st of April 2025. He was born in Flores, Buenos Aires, Argentina, died in St. Marta House. I will look into his life and times of Pope Francis, what he represented while he was there. He was the leader and, of course, the head of the Church of the Roman Catholic, more than 1 billion worshippers with that church, and, condolences and tributes have been pouring him for the man. While he was there, he has his values. He met the church, the Roman Catholic Church, in a particular way, and of course he left them in a particular way. There are issues when he came with some issues around values, about minors being affected and all of those things. But then how he waded through that billows of life and his impact on the church, and by extension on the world at large, because it was quite a global figure, not just cultural or traditional or religious leader. Yes, he was a religious leader, but then his influence transcends, the global space. We have with us today a clergy of the Roman Catholic Church, and of course, he is an academic, Reverend Father Anthony Adebayo. He joins us virtually. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. You're welcome. Happy Easter.
You. And while we say Happy Easter in our ears, so we want to add the condolences as well on the passing of Pope Francis.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So we are still in Easter season. So
yeah.
So it's no longer it's not in arrears yet. It's still on.
All right.
Yeah.
Noted. Thank you very much for that. Now, how will you describe the enigma himself? Some have described him in very, different, expansive adjective. Who he was, Pope Francis Jorge Bergoglio, while he was here with us.
Yeah, thank you very much. Pope Francis was the vicar of Christ. Was a very simple man, and simple in every sense of the word. Simple, humble, and a lover of peace, a lover of the poor, a lover of social justice. So those are just a brief way I can describe his personality. That he's just a very simple man. Even though he has an exalted office that he occupied, but he didn't allow the office to get to his head. He has been very simple since he was at Argentina, and till he died. He remained himself, remained very, 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 very simple and very, very accommodating.
All right, Father Adebayo. Like you said, he was a very simple man, very iconic and loved by the people. He was called Lolo Kiko or Grandpa Francis. Very interesting. Two striking things for me about the Pope who just passed. Father Adebayo, you know that this Pope Francis, was actually, of course, two striking things for me that I will not forget in a hurry. Is the first ever Latin American leader of the Catholic faith. Number two for me was the fact that 10 years ago, when he visited Manila in the Philippines, he held an open-air mass that recorded an attendance of over 6 million people, the largest ever attendance recorded by the Vatican. This goes to show that he was loved and greatly admired by the people. And now, Father Adebayo, now that the Pope has passed, we know a lot of things will happen. You know, the College of Cardinals, they will go into the conclave for them to elect the new Pope. I just want you to share with us, what are we supposed to expect now? What do we expect from the Catholic Church at this point, from the Cardinals at this point? What do you think will happen? What are your predictions concerning the process that will lead to the election of a new Pope?
Yeah, thank you very much. What is going to happen now is that we are going to have 9 days of mourning for the Pope that just passed. And after the 9 days, in the next 15 days, minimum of 15 days after his death, then we are going to have all the cardinals from all over the world going into Rome to have their conclave to elect a new Pope. And but only cardinals who are less than 80 years old will be involved in the conclave. And so when the conclave gathers, it's going to be in the Sistine Chapel in secret. They will be cut off from the entire world to ward off external influence. So they will be there until the new Pope is elected. So the cardinals will do their voting prayerfully, and then whoever wins the 2/3 of the vote will be proclaimed as the new Pope. So until we have that 2/3, we can't pronounce the new Pope. So the process goes thus. When the cardinals gather in the Sistine Chapel in Rome, don't forget that the cardinals are going to come from all over the world. And so when they gather like that, prayerfully, they start their prayers, and after that, they'll start the voting. So if they first do the first voting, and then they can't have the 2/3, the ballot papers are gathered and burnt. Okay, so when they burn the ballot papers, there's a place where the smoke is going to come out. You know, the Catholic Church is very organized.
Absolutely.
There's a place where the smoke will come out. So people will be waiting all over the world, looking at that chimney, looking from where the smoke is going to come out. So if the smoke that comes out is black, then it means that we don't have a Pope yet. But as soon as the smoke that comes out is white, then we say we have a new Pope. And then the cardinal in charge will come out and announce that we have a new Pope, Habemus Papam. And when that is done, immediately he says we have a new Pope. The Pope would also come out and give his apostolic blessing. So it's a process that is well organized. It's a process that is devoid of rancor. And so in the next 20 days, we should be talking about a new Pope. I agree with you that he was the first Latin American to become Pope. Somebody because you know the Vatican is an autonomous territory. So the Pope is head of state, So the Vatican is a state. It's like a country.
Right.
So now governance of that country has most often been from those who are from that environment too. It's just like you have Nigeria as a country being governed by Nigerians. You know, I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So now, yeah. So it's like having Nigerians being president or head of state of Nigeria. But because the church is universal, the church is Catholic and apostolic and universal. Now, at a point, somebody from outside of the Vatican, outside of Rome, was elected as Bishop of Rome. Bishop of Rome is the Pope who governs the entire Catholic world. So because the church is universal, it's no longer limited to indigenes of that environment of Rome alone anymore, of Italy anymore. It's now it's a universal. So now we can expect anything. Somebody from outside of Rome, could become the Pope, and then it could also go back to somebody from inside of Rome. So depends on how God wants it, you know, because nobody can go against the will of God.
Absolutely, Reverend Father Adebayo. Like you said, it depends on how God wants it. And again, you mentioned, and I quite agree, that the Catholic religion is one of the most organized. The Catholic Church is one of the most organized systems, religious systems in the world. But when it comes to the election of a new Pope, Father, you would agree with me that a lot of things happen in the conclave. A lot of rituals take place in the conclave that the world that is not open to the public world, that is talking about the processes that involves electing the new Pope. For now, before we have the new Pope, like you said, some will be in, of course, the Camerlengo would be in charge and also will be the one to announce who the new Pope would be as soon as they come to that conclusion. At some point ago, I read a book, Angels and Demons by Dan Brown, who tried to paint a grim picture of some of the activities, some of the rituals that take place in the conclave, though fictitious, but it quite opened my eye to a lot of things that happen. As you said, Father, you said depending on the will of God, as God wants it. But you would also agree with me, Father, that wherever we have human beings, we cannot outrule or we cannot downplay the role of politics in all this. We cannot downplay the role of politics. Even though they are men of God, sometimes we still see politics playing out. In your opinion, Father Adebayo, do you see any possibility of a black pope emerging anytime soon? We have Cardinal Peter Turkson from Ghana as one of the cardinals there. Do you in any way see that possibility of a black pope emerging?
Thank you. Let me first take you to that book that you read. You know, there are a lot of books like that in circulation, even videos, even films or movies like that. So, and everybody is trying to sell a narrative that is not true. You know, I'll take you back to how the replacement of Judas, who is Matthias, was selected. You see, even in the Bible, when you are going to have somebody, God is not going to jump down from heaven and then point to somebody and say, oh yeah, you go and you are the one we chose. No. Human beings will still be the ones to conduct the process with the reliance on God. So if you look at how Justus and Matthias, is because they picked two of them, but the process did not just throw up Justus and Matthias. There are so many others, but from which they also took Justus and Matthias. So it's a process. Even in the Bible, it's a process to replace Judas among the apostles, all right? So now, when you have that kind of scenario, you are going to see that what they call rituals. What is rituals? Rituals is just process. That's all. It's just that in Nigeria, we call things, we demonize things by the names they bear. Rituals means right. Absolutely. Right means process, okay? Right in the sense of R-I-T-E. So right simply means process. Like your television now that we are talking on now. You also perform rituals in that television station, in the sense that when you come in the morning, If there's no light, somebody puts on the light, puts on the generator, puts on the transmitter, puts on this, puts on that. Then you also put on the system. And then when you put on the system, you also link up with me. You also send a link. So that process is also a ritual. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Absolutely, very clear.
So everywhere you go, there's a procedure. What we call ritual, there are procedures of getting things done. So now, the ritual that the apostles of Jesus followed to elect another Judas, the replacement of Judas, was that they eventually, out of a multitude, performed the rituals of selection. What we call weeding, when we want to do interview, shortlisting and all that, interview, they are part of rituals of selection or election, so to say. Now, when they now got Judas, when they got Justus and Matthias, they now say, okay, let's cast lots. And that's what happened. So God will never come down from heaven and then say, this is the one that you are going to choose. But God will come down from heaven in his spirit to influence the choice. And that's what happened among the apostles. God influenced the choice of Matthias. And at the end of their voting, they took him in. And that's exactly what we are going to do now. So when you are in the conclave, don't forget too that they are going to be in the Sistine Chapel. And They are going to have a lot of prayers done, because before you embark on this kind of thing, you are going to go into a lot of prayers.
Absolutely.
Because it's not just getting there today and then they start voting. It's not possible.
Absolutely.
They need to rely on God. They need to rely on our Mother Mary to do a lot of things, because the Pope is not just an ordinary person. The Pope is the leader of 1.4 billion people who are Catholics. The Pope is the symbol of Christianity on earth. The Pope is the vicar of Christ. The Pope is the one who is going to replace Peter. You know, because maybe we need to just, in 1 minute, go through who the Pope actually is. Every Pope is the successor of Peter.
Saint Peter,
now,
yeah, that's true.
Every Pope sits on the chair of Peter. The chair of Peter is where every Pope sits. And the burial ground of Peter is under that chair. Okay? The underground. That's St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. Peter and the popes were buried underground it.
Absolutely.
The Pope is going to sit. The Pope is going to sit on that seat. So whoever is going to sit on that seat cannot just emerge simply by politics. It's not possible. I agree with you that in life, we are all political animals anyway. So things happen that, okay, this person could be better than this. But it's about making the right choice and all that, and making the right what we call compromises and leanings here and there. You know, so we cannot totally rule out that some will prefer some to some. Okay, we will have been looking at some cardinals. Okay, this one could be better. This one could be better. This one could be better. And because of that, those who felt that Cardinal John could be better than Cardinal Matthew will now begin to also say, well, let's consider this person.
My point exactly, Reverend Father. When we have human beings, there's always politics is always playing out. For instance, a lot of people, a lot of people are rooting for Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, who is also from the Philippines. Okay, because of his closeness to the Pope. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That because of all these politics, you cannot rule it out. Do you see any likelihood of a black Pope in the person of Cardinal Peter Turkson of Ghana ever imagine as Pope?
You see, people have been throwing up names. But I'm agreeing with what you say, that some people, because when you say politics, considerations are going to come inside. That, okay, this person could be better than this person. Why not have a black Pope at this time? Why not have somebody from the Philippines? Why not have somebody from Rome? Those things are just normal human considerations. But when you put God in charge, God will choose who he wants to choose. Like if you ask any African now, so to say, if you ask any, because we have so many black cardinals now. If you ask any African will say, well, God, I will prefer a black Pope. At least let a black man occupy this space for now and all that. But in as much as one desires, in as much as we may have preferences, God still takes preeminence. All right? Like I told you about Justus and Matthias, some were rooting for Justus and actually campaigned for him. Some were rooting for Matthias and actually campaigned for him. Yes.
Let
me just conclude this thought, please. Okay. Let me conclude this.
Right.
So between Justus and Matthias, not all the votes went for Matthias. So some votes went for Justus, some went for Matthias, and that's politics. Eventually, Matthias won, and that was the choice. So now, for me, whoever emerges as Pope is the person we are going to accept as the will of God, sir.
All right.
Whether black or white or Filipino or American, or let God just choose for us. That's all.
Let God's will be done. Right. Let's take it back to the life and times of Pope Francis, where we all started. He's had quite, some series of health challenges, actually, and he waded through because he died at 88. We learned he had a part of one lung removed as a young man, and he battled lung health problems and was especially prone to respiratory illnesses, for bronchitis, for pneumonia. We learned he even had a surgery to remove intestinal scar tissue and repair a hernia in the abdominal wall. And since 2022, he often used a wheelchair, a walker, or cane due to knee injuries. And after he had suffered recently from multiple falls, and quite a man with health challenges. But in all of it, let's now look at some of the key issues, that many persons will say shaping his reign, because he's head of the church, the Roman Catholic Church, head of the Vatican while he was alive, the vicar of Christ, the way you have described him, such a leader he was. But his position on some things that were already causing confusion before he came in, and how he was able to administer that one after the other. His position on same-sex marriage was an issue. The same-sex marriage was an issue before he came in. And when he came on, he took on a position that even homosexuals, deserves to be blessed. And that one, many persons interpreted it, and I want you to analyze it now, that it means the Pope has said homosexuality is allowed and they could get married and they have the blessing of the church. I will just take it one after the other. You are a clergy in the Roman Catholic Church. Was that the true position of the Catholic Church during the reign of Pope Francis, that homosexuals, they are allowed, they are created by God, they can be blessed, and they can be married? Is that the true position?
No, it's not. It's not. And the document that he brought out did not say that. Okay, the teaching of the church remains sacrosanct on homosexuality. Now, what you see, sensationalism was what actually created that problem. I was on several radio stations to discuss that document when it came out. What was in the document was taken out of context by the press, and it was intentional, really. What the document said is this, that the Pope preaches inclusivity. And you just mentioned it too, that homosexuals are also creatures of God. They were created by God. They were made by God. He now said, instead of throwing them away, instead of not having anything to do with them, bring them closer. Because it is when you have brought them closer that you can now convert or influence their lives. That if you throw them away, you are not helping the matter. You are not saving their souls. Except we are saying that homosexuals also don't deserve salvation, which I will say is a lie. Homosexuals also deserve salvation. That was the point the Pope was making. And in the document, he said that you can bless them, not as married couples. No. He was using the context of even as a parent, you have a child that is wayward. you can pray for that child. You can bless the child. That was the context. Are you following me, sir?
Yes, I'm with you.
That was the context. That it's not to bless, it's not, it didn't say bless gay couples. No. He didn't say that. Don't bless homosexual couples. He said, even when you have a child and the child is wayward, you don't throw that child away. Like Yorubas will say, you cannot say because your child is wayward now, you now go and carry a gun and shoot the child because the child is stealing or because the child is stubborn. No, you bring the child close so that you can influence the life of the child. And he even said that you can also pray for them and bless them, not to bless their union. No, but you see where the problem came in.
Right.
As soon as that document came out, you know, there is this movement by homosexuals, the LGBTQ community. They are very powerful, they are very strong. Anybody who is saying that that group is not strong, the person is deceiving himself. It is now that Trump came in, that Trump is trying to bring down their influence by saying only 2 genders are approved by America, and everybody is following suit, and we're happy about that. But they are very powerful and very strong. So they were the ones that brought out that narrative to say the Pope has said, let them bless us, bless our marriage. That document, we have analyzed it, and I was on radio station to analyze it and say that the document never said it.
All right.
We read the document. The document never said we're married gay people in the church. It never said that.
All right.
But those people themselves brought out that false narrative, and then the thing spread like wildfire all over the world.
All right. Now, another challenge was the issue of abuse of minors, as was, made known that many, unfortunate situations happened where some reverend fathers, were revealed that they abused minors, and that caused a stir in the church. And many persons looked up to the Pope for direction to say what was going to be the position. Will those acts be concealed? Okay, if they are not concealed, would they admit? If they admit, will there be reparations? Will there be payment of damages and all of those things? How did you think the church under Pope handled that?
Well, first and foremost, I need to put into proper perspective what abuse means in the Western world.
Please.
All right. Many of the things that we do here in Nigeria, if it's in the Western world, it will be seen as sexual abuse. So it's not that when we say abuse of minors and all that, like in Nigeria here, easily we put children on our laps. Easily. And many of those things were done in those days also abroad. Those are the things now being seen as abuse. Like because he carried me on his lap, or because he put his hand on my head, because he used his hand to rub my head, those are the issues abroad. And those are the normal lives with us here. So when we say abuse of minors, let us not begin to say that there is a penal in penetration. No.
Was that a situation, Reverend Father? Because we learned there are many instances of young boys,
Yes.
who were sexually molested. That was the accusation then. Not just carrying on people on their laps or rubbing their heads.
No, wait. That's what I'm telling you now. Now, okay, something is coming. The same thing is coming to us now. That's what I'm saying. Let us put to perspectives.
Please go ahead.
The same thing is coming to us now. You remember that student that was that assaulted a lecturer at I think Unizik or something.
Yes, no,
that was
university.
Unizik, that was now sent away from the university. Now, what people now started saying something that he didn't handle the issue well. That lecturer should not have touched her. She was doing video on the road. That's the Western mentality of sexual abuse. Okay? People were, she was on, the story now, she was on the road doing video and all.
Are you saying that the reported instances were just of that nature and there were no molestation, sexual molestation?
See, majority were like that. I'm coming. You know what people are now saying? Yeah. The lecturer touched her on the back and said, leave the road. They said, some are now saying that for him to have touched her like that, is sexual abuse. That's what the school should be addressing. Not to say the girl should leave the school. That is Western mentality. You see, okay, I'll give you an instance. There was a white priest that was with us for so many years in Nigeria, in Osun State here.
Right.
When he was going back to Ireland, he was afraid because he said here he's very happy. Children will come around him, he will gather them, he will carry like 5, they will be following him, they will be holding his clothes, they will hold his leg and all that. He said if he tries this thing, because I also schooled abroad, I know what I'm talking about. He said if he does this in his own country, it will be sexual abuse. Because these children will grow up and they say because there's a way he carried them, he was caressing them.
I understand, Reverend Father. We are due for hold on, sir. We are due for a break, but there was an admittance of wrong by the church at that time.
I'm telling you that the admittance of wrong was based on the mentality of, okay, you carry that child on your leg, you carry her and all that. That's the admittance, okay, that since this is the new normal, they admit. Okay. That's just it.
So it was never about sexual molestation?
It wasn't like that.
All right.
When you come back from the break, I will give you an instance of somebody who almost went to prison.
All right.
A friend of mine.
All right. We have been speaking about the life and times of Pope Francis, who passed on yesterday at the age of 88, and what he represented while he was there, and the iconic figure that he was. And we have been speaking with Reverend Father Dr. Anthony Adebayo, a clergy, and of course an academic. Stay with us. The program will continue. During the reigns of Pope Francis. And Reverend Father, I'd like you to add as well the Pope's stance on birth control and abortion, even while you are trying to make your point about sexual molestation of minors. Please go ahead.
Okay, let me just conclude on the sexual molestation. That's because, you see, let me give you 2 instances. Many of the things that we do here in Nigeria, if you do it abroad, you either end up in jail or problem will happen. A Nigerian who was working as caregiver in UK, okay, was to take care of a patient, and she started praying, and the person reported that to the police. She was sacked. I think deportation system started. That why should you be praying? You were brought here to work, not praying for me. Okay. Now, if that has happened in Nigeria, even the patient, the person you are giving the care will be happy. Happy that this person is even adding prayer to the work. Thank you for praying for me. But that is not the Western mentality. She was sad, and they were about deporting her because that she was forcing her religion on top of the patient. That's the way Western world thinks.
All right, so Father. All right, Father.
The person had to apologize for doing. Wait, let me just conclude. The person had to apologize for doing nothing wrong in Nigerian context, but for the Western context, the person had to apologize. So now let's now go to the abortion.
Yeah, before you go to that, Reverend Father, before you go to the abortion, away from the controversies for now, before you move to the abortion case. Because of time, we still have other questions. It's not just about the controversies. Now, looking at the Pope, look at Pope Francis, who just passed. A lot of people see him as a liberal Pope. They say he's liberal. We have more conservative cardinals in the Catholic Church. In your own opinion, how would you assess his impact on interfaith relations and global peace efforts generally? You know, talking about relations with people of other faith, or what was the impact of the Pope when it comes to interfaith relations and, of course, global peace around the world? And that's number one. And the second one for me is that looking at the fact that the Pope has passed now, a lot of tributes pouring in from different parts of the world. What effect will this have on the Catholic Church? Talking about the election of the next Pope, do you see a situation of the Catholic Church having another liberal Pope, or do you see the Church tilting towards a more conservative cardinal now to replace the Pope at this time?
Thank you. He was a liberal man that even some people will say liberal to a fault, because like we said before, he was an all-inclusive man. He was a man that brought everybody together. He was a man that doesn't discriminate. He brought the church closer to Muslims. He brought the church closer to Buddhists. Judaists. He brought the church closer to even Confucianists. He brought the church closer to anybody. So as long as you're a human being, for him, you are created by God. So religion should not divide us. So it was. You will see him even kissing those who could not be touched by anybody. The children who were even in autism, deformed children, you will see him carrying them close to himself. People that people don't want to touch, people that people don't even cannot even touch with a pole. You know, so he was like that. People were saying, no, Pope, don't do this. He's a chaperone. Don't do this. Don't say no. He would do things that ordinarily they will feel the Pope is too high to do. All right? So he was so liberal to a fault that even some people were no longer comfortable with. But we thank God for his life. So he brought the church, just like Pope John Paul II before him. You know, there was Benedict 15 after John Paul II. John Paul II also brought the church to the world, just like this one has done as well. So we look forward to a new Pope. And we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what God has in store. We don't know what God is going to do. So whoever is chosen, we pray that the person will work for the good of the church and the good of the world. Because the Catholic Church is not just the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is interconnected with the world.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you are aware of there's a running battle between the Pope and President Trump, and then the issue in Ukraine and Russia. So the influence of the Pope on global politics and advocacy is very, very strong. Very, very strong. So even before he died, J.D. Vance was with him on Sunday.
Yeah, I guess J.D. Vance was his last visitor, one of his last visitors.
Yes. And so that underscores the fact that you know that the influence of the Pope on world politics, global advocacy is very strong. So we pray that God chooses for us somebody who will. If the person is going to achieve that by being liberal, is okay. If the person is going to achieve that by being conservative, is okay. Because we cannot decide for God. We don't know what God has in store. Look at when Jesus was going to choose Peter. Peter was not the most knowledgeable among his apostles. Peter was just an illiterate fisherman, but Jesus went for him and chose him. So let us see what God will do. Though we as human beings, like you said before, we could begin to permutate here and there, and then bring our political underlings to everything and all that, which is normal in every system. Because even at the time of Jesus, there was politics, you know. You know, if I remind you, in Matthew chapter 20, James and John, when they saw that Jesus would soon go, they went and brought their mother to Jesus to help them to campaign that Jesus would choose one of them. So that is just normal in politics. So but we pray that whatever is going on, whatever is going to happen, God will choose the best for us at this time.
So talking about global peace, now, do you think its liberality is actually an asset, is actually a plus when it comes to uniting people? Of course, a lot of people will argue that its liberality is actually a plus. It brought people together. Now, if we should have a more conservative cardinal replacing him as Pope now, don't you think it will affect the outlook of people and how they see the Catholic Church?
No, I don't think so. You see, when we say conservatism in the church, it's like we say, okay, the deposit of faith, the things that we believe in, our doctrine, our sacraments and all that are held without compromise. That is conservatism. But when it comes to the social order of the church has always been open to different, because we have different arms. Even in Osun State here, we have what we call ecumenical dialogue. A priest, a reverend father is in charge of that. We have what we call interreligious dialogue. Ecumenical dialogue is between Christians. Okay? We have somebody who's also in charge of interreligious dialogue. And it started from up, right from the Pope to the bishop. The bishop will also appoint priests who handles that. to interface with Muslims, to interface with Anglicans, to interface with Methodists, to interface with even the traditional worshippers. So the social arm of the church is always open. And we have always employed people. If you go to Ajale Emile, you find so many non-Catholics. Go to JDP, you find so many non-Catholics. So that has always been there. Our conservatism does not reach ostracizing people. But it's just that when you see a pope that goes all out to even visit, to even go to Mecca, to even go to this and all that, well, it's a plus. It's a plus. But and any pope that comes in now is surely going to, he's not going to fold his hands or close his hands and say, no, I don't want to see anybody, no. Because those institutions are already there.
All right.
Those offices are already there, and he cannot close those offices. No, it's not possible.
All right, Reverend Father Adebayo, one of the attributes, of the Pope while he was alive, you started from there earlier, is a simple way of life. Even when there are perks of office, or when there are, things that are expected, conventional things, that attributed to his high exalted office, most of the times he tries to play it down. And, many persons see that one as a plus for him, even though some conventional, traditional worshippers of the church would think maybe, he should be more protected and exalted than he did while he was with us. But I asked the question earlier, and I'll go back there. His position on abortion and, either he's being pro-life or not, there are controversies all over the place. And he took a position on some of those things, birth control and abortion, which most of the times went controversial. What's your impression of his position?
Well, you see, that was why I said initially that he's carrying his liberalism. Some even said is to a fault. Now, there are some things about the church that even the Pope cannot change them. The pro-life teaching of the church that abortion is evil and it remains evil. But this Pope, he wants to bring everybody. What he normally says, and that's why people were faulting some things about him. What he normally says is that even when somebody is doing something bad, bring the person close, let us involve the person, let us include the person. It is when you bring the person close that you can now begin to influence the life of the person. And so most times, even what he's saying is misjudged or misinterpreted. Okay? But the stand of the church till today is that abortion is evil. Abortion will never be accepted by the church. And that is the teaching of the magisterium. And the Pope has not changed it. But all he says is that, okay, I'll give you another instance. The transgender issue. It was controversial at a point. Because the transgender people felt that because they visited him and the video went viral. When a man changes to a woman and then a woman changes to a man, he brought them, they visited him, he hosted them, which some people found so repulsive, some people found it so abnormal. But what kind of liberalism is this? Okay? Even at the beginning, I was not comfortable with that too. But at the end, we started seeing what the man was saying.
Reverend Adebayo, just to put the right context, so it was more about his style of leadership, not really the position of the church. No. He's bringing people close. Where he started, he started at Buenos Aires in Argentina. Yes, in Argentina.
Where others don't go, when he was Archbishop of Argentina, of Buenos Aires, where others don't go, he was always going. And he continued that went to where we keep up. The slums in Argentina, the slums, priests, bishops, they don't normally go there because it's dangerous. It's dangerous. It's just like when you go to Ajegule in Nigeria here. But he was going there, he will go and sit down with them, he will eat with them, he will minister to them. People were saying, they will kill you. The gangsters are here, they will kill you. But he said nobody can kill him. He will sit down with them and be eating with them, which some people there found so strange. The same thing now, he said, if you cannot convert these criminals in the slum by staying away from them. So he will go to that slum in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, and he was converting them. So he brought the same mentality to the papacy, to Rome, as Pope. And that is what he was doing. So it's not that he was going against the church. He was saying, let us include everybody. No matter how bad the person is, no matter what the person is doing, let's involve the person. Inclusivity, that's what he was preaching. And because he hung his teaching on social justice, love for the poor, love for the refugees, love for the immigrants, and all that. So that's it. So that was what he brought to the papacy, and then he has been liberal all his life. He has been liberal all his life.
Yeah. All right. Talking about inclusivity on the part of the Pope, which is quite commendable. You said some people even believe it was liberal to a fault. Now,
Yes.
Father Debayo, the media has been reporting, some likely replacements for the Pope. I mean, a couple of cardinals, so they are believing might actually replace the Pope. Before I ask you my question, some of them, we have Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle from the Philippines. We have Cardinal Pietro Parolin from Italy. We have Cardinal Peter Erdo from Hungary. We have Cardinal Raymond Leo Berg from the USA. We have Cardinal Matteo Zuppi from Italy. We have Cardinal Willem Jacobus Ejik from Netherlands. And of course, we have Cardinal Maria Grech from Malta. Also, we have Cardinal Peter Turkson from Ghana. Then we have Cardinal Angelo Scola from Italy. We have also Cardinal Pierbattista Pizzaballa rather. Now, these are some of the people the media are actually, hoping one of them might replace the Pope. As a Reverend Father, I would like to ask you this direct question. Who do you think, who's your own candidate? Like you said, even in the time of the apostles, they had to vote between Julius and Matthias. In this case now, who is your own candidate? Who do you hope to see? Which of the cardinals would you actually, if you were, hypothetically speaking, if you were to be in the conclave, who would you choose to become the next Pope?
Okay, I'll answer this way. You see, this Pope that just died, okay, when Pope Benedict XVI retired, resigned, and we had to choose another Pope, names were thrown up on media. Names were brought up. Bergoglio was never one of those names. This Pope that just died, he was not in any of the names that were thrown up. His name was never there. So it was a surprise Pope. His name was never there. His name was never there. So even these names that they have been thrown up since yesterday, all these names and all that, don't be surprised that none of them may make it. None. Yeah. Because it has happened before.
Father Debayo, because of time, now going back to the first question I asked you, like you said, there's going to be an election, and since we have human beings, we cannot, outthrow the involvement of human influence. Do you think that we can ever have a black Pope? Because like you said, they're human beings, and most of them are white. So do you think we can ever have a black Pope?
It will be my joy if we have a black Pope. I'm a black man. I'm an African, and actually the hope of Christianity and the church is actually in Africa. If we are going to deceive ourselves, because technology and affluence is pulling the white people away from God more and more every day. So if you want to ask me as an African, I will say, well, if an African becomes the Pope, I'll be happy about it. But I still leave it to God.
Who is going to vote for
me?
Who will vote for the African? That's the question. When majority of them are not Africans.
You see, nobody thought anybody would vote for a Latin American as a Pope. Nobody. Because it has never happened before. So you see, how God does his own things, nobody knows. Nobody. Let me take you back to the Bible. All right? When Jesus was going to choose his successor, Peter was never in the picture. Peter never campaigned. All those who were campaigning were Matthew, James, and John, and all that. And you will even see that they kept saying that the disciple that Jesus loved was John. So many of them thought John was going to replace him. John and James, son of Zebedee, even campaigned and brought their mother to Jesus to come and campaign for them in Matthew chapter 20 and all that.
Absolutely.
But eventually...
Oh, I guess we lost that audio. Well, in answer to your question, Peter was a fisherman, so I guess he felt, I mean, he doesn't have the business, but not knowing God has chosen him. I don't know if
Jesus went...
Oh, all right. Please go ahead, sir.
So if God decides that he wants a black pope at this time, there's nothing anybody can do about it. Nothing. Nothing. Right. So if God says it's the turn of the black man, that man from
Ghana, sincerely thank you, Reverend Father Anthony, Reverend Father Dr. Anthony Adebayo, for your time and your take. You know, and we wish the Catholic Church, yourself, the Vatican, the Catholic Church, all the best. You know, at this time, still the money period has started, I guess, and then we'll hope the whole process will come out well. Thank you very much for your time and your take.
Thank you. I appreciate your condolences. Thank you very much.
All right. That will be it. And as they say, we all be remembered by what we have done. We are all part of history, and we are currently making one now. We take this break. When we return, we'll switch gears. Stay with us.